All right, everyone, this is Fernando here in Las Vegas. I have a very special interview happening right now at a very special location too. So I just finished a tour with Ryan from Sin City Spooks. Fantastic tour. I highly recommend it for everyone in case you're here in Las Vegas. Ryan has a great set of knowledge on the downtown area when it comes to the hauntings that are there, along with some insights on some of his encounters, some of the tours encounters too. Just finished that tour specifically, so again, do highly recommend it. I'll include all the information, the links below. And the reason why I'm doing this now is because Ryan was kind enough to say yes, like when it comes to doing an interview. And the cool part is what you're hearing right now, all this ambiance, all this noise, we're actually at a spot a little bit past the Mob Museum where Ryan on a past tour encountered a shadow person. And so what's really neat about this interview right now, everyone that's listening to it, is that you could, maybe in the next few minutes, we might see a shadow person, and if we do, we'll point it out. But if not, maybe you might hear something in terms of something else trying to communicate with us while we're doing this interview. So please let us know in the comments if you have a chance, if you hear anything. But otherwise, without further ado, I wanted to introduce Ryan, again from Sin City Spooks. Highly recommend this tour. Thank you so much again, Ryan. Appreciate it. And without further ado, if you can, I was asking earlier if you wanted to include maybe some stories, either on the information for yourself on the tour or yourself personally. But please say hello.
Hello everybody. Again, this is Ryan with Sin City Spooks. Now, I have traveled all over the United States, and everywhere I go, I make a point to stop and check out the local haunted spots. Something I love about haunted stories, whether or not you believe in the supernatural aspects, is that they tend to center around real people that actually lived and actually encountered things and did things in their life. And to me, those are stories worth telling.
Absolutely.
So, for example, one of my personal favorite places I've ever been to is Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I've been there multiple times. It is absolutely beautiful, and it is also considered one of the most haunted places anywhere in the United States. The last time I was there, I went on a haunted tour with a couple of my friends, and we were taken to a place called the Grove. During the battle, the Grove was the place where Union forces regrouped after being severely routed by the Confederates. And today, a high school is built there. It's kind of ironic. If you go into this high school at any time before it opens, there's a fair chance you're actually going to encounter something supernatural. It's very, very common for teachers and other staff to see fully uniformed Civil War soldiers.
Wow.
When they're approached, they're sometimes thought to maybe be reenactors that were brought in. They just simply turn around, walk away, disappear into thin air. Really kind of creepy if you ask me.
And these are full apparitions that
Full
people
body,
see.
fully uniformed, what's described as a historically accurate Civil War uniform, usually of a Union soldier, sometimes of a Confederate soldier, but mostly Union soldiers.
Awesome stuff.
Then a story from this specific tour. Did you have a favorite on this tour? One that really stood out to you?
The last story you were just telling about the El Cortez, that one definitely stood out. Yeah.
So, the El Cortez is the longest continually running casino anywhere in Las Vegas. It was opened in 1941 and it ran all the way until 2020. When all that COVID stuff happened, it did have to shut down for about a year. So back in 2017, there was a trio of young ladies. One of them had just turned 21, so they decided to visit Vegas for a weekend just to stop over and celebrate. And personally, I can't think of a better place to celebrate than here in fabulous Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so they drove from LA to Las Vegas. They did not stop once. And the young lady that did all the driving was very, very sweaty. In her own words, she felt gross. So she went to take a shower while the others figured out what they were going to do. So as soon as she starts the shower, as soon as she starts washing her hair, somebody starts crying. Before she can figure out what's going on, she throws on a towel. She steps outside of the bathroom and she asks her friends if everything's okay. She figured maybe it was one of them. Unfortunately, it was not. At that particular moment, they were actually laughing. They were flipping through the cable channels, and one of them had just discovered the Playboy channel. They were all kind of making fun of that, as I probably would be too. So she gets a little weirded out, but she decides she's just hearing things. She goes back to her shower. Less than a minute into her resumed shower, the crying starts again, but this time it's a lot louder, to the point where her other friends hear, and one of them enters the bathroom to see if she is okay. At this point, she throws on a towel, and they start bickering a little bit because the other friend thinks that maybe she's trying to pull a prank on them.
And this is like literal crying that
Like
they're hearing.
this is actual, very, very heavy sobbing. She described it as a young lady whose heart has been broken for the first time type crying.
Wow.
So at this moment, they've been bickering for about a minute. They both at the same moment look over at the mirror. And in the mirror is what she described as a 19 to 20-year-old young lady who is crying very, very heavily. In her own words, she was bawling her eyes out. And around her neck are two very large and distinctly masculine hands. And as she's crying,
Wow.
she is also being strangled. And they are both too stunned to speak, too stunned to look away. And for the next 5 minutes, they watch as this young lady is strangled in the mirror.
Keep in mind, this is only happening in the mirror, correct?
There's no actual person being strangled on their side of the mirror.
Oh my goodness.
And finally, one of them snaps out of it and is like, okay, we're leaving, we're getting a different room now.
Yeah, understandably so, yeah.
I absolutely would too. And at this point, they both leave. They tell their third friend, we're leaving now, pack up your stuff. They get a different room, and that's where that story ends. Not gonna lie, I would have gotten a whole different hotel at that point, but, well, what can you do?
Wow. So the first story, Gettysburg, which as I mentioned, and some of my fans here know it's on like my bucket list when it comes to visiting. Sounds like an amazing place to check out.
It is, absolutely.
And then the El Cortez, not just for being like one of the oldest working hotels, but obviously the ghostly history on there.
Yes, absolutely.
You see, that's a good idea, guys. What Ryan does on his Sin City Spooks tour, he gives these kind of stories while being able to showcase a lot of the locations you're outside of those same stories at the same time. So in other words, you're getting history being told as you're walking about and seeing those locations there. We've been trying to in these past couple of minutes just to see if anybody else has popped up, but so far no shadow people as of yet. But still, it's pretty fascinating to do something like this at a location where on a tour you said, can you tell quickly that story too about the shadow person?
Sure.
That'd be a great way to end it here. Yeah.
This last Thursday, I was running this tour with another group, and we were walking down this very stretch of road. I had just concluded my talk on the Mob Museum, National Museum of Organized Crime and Law Enforcement.
Which is right to the left of us, literally, guys.
Very, very cool museum. I highly recommend it. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. So as we were walking, I'm explaining a piece of local trivia, because there's lots of trivia on this tour too. And one of the young ladies interrupts me and says, "Sir, real quick, there's 5 of us in this group, right?" And I say, "Yeah, there's 5 of us. That is correct." And she says, "Well, if you look on the wall here, there are 6 shadows walking with us."
So right now, to give you an idea, guys, we're standing next to the wall. We see our shadows, but they saw an extra shadow hitting the wall.
And it was walking along with our group as if it was an extra person, but there were only 5 of us. I looked and I counted 6 shadows.
Holy, wow.
So at this point, when I realize what's going on and I take a good look at it, it then fades away, like what you see in a Hollywood movie where it just kind of fades into nothingness.
Wow. So something was creating that shadow, but obviously nobody could see the physical apparition, but it was definitely casting a shadow on the wall itself. Wow. So again, guys, go ahead, check out the tour when you're here. Sin City Spooks. Ryan will give you this type of information, and who knows, you might have a chance to encounter something like that whenever you're on this tour. So amazing stuff. Well, thank you so much again, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Yes.
And again, everyone, all the links, all the information is going to be listed below, and highly recommend it. Thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you very much.